My wife said, "You're not fun anymore. I want a trial separation." I said, "Done." Then I began the methodical process of separating our lives. Weeks later, her new life crashed down in panic. I'm 42 male, a data analyst. My life is built on logic, on predictable patterns and calculated outcomes. I find a deep sense of comfort and stability. My wife, Kelly, 38, used to claim she did too. For 15 years, she called me her rock. That was my role. I provided, I supported, I maintained the steady, predictable rhythm of our life so she could pursue an ever-changing series of passions. First a pottery business that hemorrhaged money, then becoming a part-time yoga instructor. I paid the mortgage, I handled the investments, I managed the health insurance. I saw it as a partnership. My role was to build the ship. Hers was to be the sail. Last Thursday, the sail decided the ship was a prison. She sat me down in our living room, the one she'd had professionally redecorated in calming neutral tones last fall. She wouldn't meet my eyes, focusing instead on a decorative vase that cost more than my first car. "Peter," she started, her voice adopting a soft, therapeutic cadence that always signaled an incoming emotional missile. "I need some space. I feel like I'm losing myself, you know?" I didn't respond. I waited. The preamble is for the speaker's comfort, not the listener's. "You're a good man," she continued, a verbal pat on the head. "A wonderful provider, but you're not fun anymore. We're not fun. Everything is so planned, so safe. I need to feel alive again. I need to find my own path." I stared at the expensive, non-structural wooden beam she'd insisted we install over the media center. It had cost me my entire annual bonus, a monument to aesthetics over function. In that moment, watching her talk about fun in the very lap of the security I'd spent my adult life building, something didn't break in me. It calcified. All the little dissonant data points, the secretive, giggly texting at all hours, the new expensive workout clothes from brands I'd never heard of, the sudden intense reverence for a spiritual guru named Zachary, who also happened to be her new tennis partner, they all snapped from a random scatterplot into a perfectly linear regression. The conclusion was obvious and devastating. I looked at her, really looked at her, as if for the first time in years. Her $200 leggings, the fresh manicure on the hand that hadn't worn a wedding ring in 2 weeks because it interfered with her energy flow. She was waiting for me to beg, to promise more excitement, to book a trip to Bali, to become someone I'm not. "Done," I said. The word was a stone thrown into a still pond. It wasn't the reaction her script called for. Her brow furrowed. "Done? Just like that? You're not even gonna fight for us?" "You just told me you want a trial separation," I replied, my voice chillingly level. "I'm agreeing to your terms. This is what you want. You should be happy." "Well, yes, but..." She was flustered, like an actor whose scene partner has skipped to the final monologue. "Okay, well, good. I'm gonna go pack." She went upstairs. I didn't follow. I listened to the sounds of drawers opening and closing, the sounds of my life being dismantled. For a long moment, I felt a surge of white-hot rage. I wanted to throw that stupid vase against the wall. Then came a wave of immense, crushing sadness. I thought about the girl I married, the one who was thrilled to eat cheap pizza on the bare floor of our first tiny apartment. Where did she go? I let myself feel it all for about an hour. The anger, the grief, I let it wash over me. And then I let it pass. What was left was a cold, hard clarity. This wasn't a trial, this was an ambush, and I would not be its victim. I pulled out my phone. My mind was already working. A separation is a legal event. It has rules, it has consequences. She wanted a new life. I would simply facilitate its authentic beginning. My first call wasn't to a bank. It was to a highly recommended family law attorney, Victoria. I got her voicemail, left a concise message, and received an email a half-hour later to schedule a consultation for the next morning. The next day, after a sleepless night, I sat in Victoria's office. I explained the situation. She listened intently, her face impassive. When I finished, she gave me clear, methodical advice, not for revenge, but for protection. "The moment of separation is a critical legal marker, Peter," she said. "Your actions from this point forward must be transparent and defensible." Guided by her counsel, I spent the rest of that Friday taking careful, deliberate steps. Financial separation. As advised, I opened a new, individual checking account. I didn't drain the account she used, as that could be seen as financial abuse. Instead, I left a significant cushion, $4,000, in the old account to serve as a transitional buffer. I then transferred the remainder of the funds, my savings from my salary, to my new secure account. I updated my direct deposit with HR to route all future paychecks to this new account. I documented the exact time and date of the transfer, noting it was post-separation. Credit disentanglement. I am the primary holder on our main credit card. Kelly was a supplementary user. I called the company, informed them of our legal separation, and had her card immediately deactivated. I assumed responsibility for the full outstanding balance, nearly $8,000. It was a clean, legal amputation. The benefits time bomb. I logged into my employer's HR portal. I updated my marital status to legally separated. This triggered the qualifying life event. The system confirmed the change and informed me that spousal benefits for Kelly would be terminated effective the last day of the current month. It was June 15th. She had 15 days of coverage left. A notification regarding COBRA continuation coverage, the system noted, would be mailed to our home address within 10 business days. This was the most critical step. Her prescription for Maxalt, for her chronic migraines, costs over $600 a month out of pocket. Kelly came by Saturday to pick up more of her things. She was breezy, acting as if this was all a grand adventure. "Hope you're not too lonely rattling around in this big old house," she said with a pitying smile. "I'm managing," I said. "By the way, I've started the formal process. Just wanted you to know." "Process? What process?" she asked, distracted, looking at her phone. "The separation," I said. "Legal stuff. Lawyers? You'll probably want to talk to one." She just laughed. "Oh, Peter, so dramatic. It's a trial. We'll talk in a few weeks." She had no idea. She thought the rock would just sit here, waiting patiently while she went exploring. She was wrong. Update 1. It took about 5 days for the first tremors to hit her new reality. The trigger was, as expected, the credit card. I got a text on Wednesday. "Kelly, this is so weird. My card was just declined at Lululemon. The girl at the counter was so rude about it. Can you call them? I think their system is down." Me, there's no system error. I canceled your supplementary card last week. We're separated, Kelly. Our finances are separate now too. You did what? Peter, I needed that outfit. How could you do that without talking to me? I did talk to you. I told you I was starting the legal process. This is part of it. You can use the debit card for now. The 3 dots on her message bubble appeared and disappeared for a long time. She was likely checking the balance of the old account. The $4,000 buffer seems to have kept her from immediate panic, but the message was clear. The endless river of cash had been dammed. The main event, the full-blown earthquake, happened this morning. My doorbell rang at 9 a.m. on Saturday. It was Kelly, and she'd brought her mother, Joyce, for reinforcement. Joyce is a woman who believes Kelly's whims are divine proclamations, and my purpose on earth is to fund them. "Peter, I demand you explain this," Joyce commanded as she marched into my foyer. Kelly stood behind her, arms crossed, radiating self-righteous fury. "You canceled her credit card. Are you trying to humiliate her?" "I'm establishing financial boundaries, which is standard procedure in a legal separation," I said calmly. Kelly finally exploded. "Standard procedure? This isn't a business merger. This is my life. You're trying to control me, to punish me for wanting more than this boring, predictable life." "I'm not punishing you," I said, my voice flat. "I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. You wanted a different life. You wanted to be on your own path. I am simply letting you experience the full reality of that choice. The predictable life you find so boring also happened to pay for everything." I let that hang in the air for a moment before delivering the final, crucial piece of information. "And since we're discussing logistics," I continued, looking directly at Kelly, "I need to formally notify you of something. I informed my employer of our separation. As a result, your eligibility for my health, dental, and vision insurance will terminate at the end of this month. That's 10 days from now. You'll receive a COBRA packet in the mail that explains how you can continue the coverage at your own expense." The color drained from Kelly's face. Joyce just looked confused. "What does that mean?" Joyce asked. Kelly answered, her voice a strangled whisper. "My migraine prescription, Peter, they told me it's over $600 a month without your insurance." "That's correct," I confirmed. "So you'll need to budget for that. The Cobra premium for the full plan will likely be around $900 a month. Joyce gasped. That's monstrous. You can't do that to her. She has a medical condition. She's a 38-year-old adult who has chosen to separate from the husband who provided her insurance, I stated, refusing to be drawn into hysterics. This is a natural consequence. She wanted to find her own way. This is wayfinding 101. This isn't you, Peter. You're being cruel, Kelly cried, tears of rage and panic welling in her eyes. I'm going to call a lawyer. You'll be hearing from them. I would expect nothing less, I said. I've already retained counsel myself. Her name is Victoria. The fact that I already had a lawyer, that I was 2 steps ahead of her, seemed to stun her more than anything else. She stared at me, her mind clearly reeling, trying to reconcile the predictable rock she'd left with the cold, calculating stranger standing before her. She grabbed her mother's arm and stormed out. The war has begun. Update 2. The initial skirmishes have given way to the slow, grinding machinery of the legal process. As promised, I heard from Kelly's lawyer about 2 weeks after our confrontation. The letter I received was a masterpiece of creative writing. It painted me as a cruel and manipulative monster who, in a punitive rage, had maliciously cut off his emotionally fragile wife to force her into submission. It demanded I immediately reinstate all financial support, pay for her legal fees, and it outlined an outrageous demand for long-term spousal support. I forwarded it to Victoria, who was completely unfazed. It's a standard shock and awe tactic, she explained over the phone. They're loud and aggressive, hoping you'll panic and settle for a bad deal. We will respond with calm, documented facts. And we did. Our response, which took her several days to meticulously craft, was a quiet work of art. We calmly refuted every claim, not stating that I had acted responsibly, and upon legal advice to separate our finances, following Kelly's abandonment of the marital home. We made it clear we would not be reinstating any funds. Then came the counteroffensive. I had taken a gamble and hired a private investigator. It wasn't cheap, and it took him 3 days of surveillance, but the results were worth every single penny. He provided a detailed report complete with time-stamped photos of Kelly and Zachary entering and leaving his apartment over several nights, and a clear shot of them having a romantic breakfast on his balcony. We attached the PI's report to our response. We also attached the text message from Zachary. We formally stated that Kelly had entered into an adulterous relationship, which was the true cause of the separation. But Victoria didn't stop there. She added a devastatingly effective legal motion. We filed for discovery, claiming dissipation of marital assets. We alleged that for months, Kelly had been using marital funds, my income, to finance her affair. We subpoenaed her bank records, and crucially, we subpoenaed Zachary. We wanted to see his financial records to determine how much of my money had been spent on gifts, dinners, and trips for him. The reaction was seismic. About a week after our response was sent, I received a call from a blocked number. It was Zachary. The smug, enlightened guru persona was gone. He sounded like a terrified college kid. Hey man. Peter, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding here, he stammered. I don't think there's been any misunderstanding at all, Zachary, I said, my voice like ice. This is crazy. Your lawyer is subpoenaing me. I'm just a tennis coach, man. I don't want to be dragged into this. It's going to ruin my reputation. Your reputation is your own business. My finances, however, are mine. Kelly spent thousands of dollars on you from an account funded by my salary. My lawyer sees that as fraudulent. You are now a material witness in a divorce proceeding. You can either cooperate or you can explain to a judge why you shouldn't have to. I heard him take a shaky breath. She said you guys were over, that it was just a matter of time. Then you'll have no problem stating that under oath in a deposition, I said. And then I hung up. The entitlement has finally smashed against the hard wall of consequence. Kelly and her mother have been calling non-stop, leaving rambling, hysterical voicemails. 1 minute they're threatening me with eternal damnation. The next they're crying, saying I'm destroying her life and that this isn't the man she married. She's right. The man she married would have absorbed this betrayal and quietly suffered. The man she left behind is simply running the data, and the data is not in her favor. Final update. It's over. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks ago. The whole process took just under 8 months, which Victoria tells me is practically light speed for a contentious divorce. It didn't end in a dramatic courtroom finale. It ended when their entire case collapsed under its own weight. Zachary was the linchpin. The threat of a deposition, of having his finances publicly scrutinized and his role in the affair laid bare under oath, was too much for him. He capitulated completely. His lawyer reached out to Victoria and offered a full, signed affidavit in exchange for being dropped from the proceedings. He detailed the entire affair, confirming it began long before the separation. He wanted out, and he was willing to burn Kelly to the ground to get there. With her infidelity proven and her financial claims exposed as a sham, Kelly's leverage vanished. Her pit bull lawyer, seeing a losing and expensive case, aggressively pushed her to settle. Here are the final consequences. The house, we sold it. As our primary marital asset, the equity was split 50-50, as per state law. My share was enough to secure a down payment on a comfortable, if smaller, condo. Her share was a substantial one-time payment, the last she'll ever receive from me. Spousal support. This was her last stand, and it failed. Due to the clear evidence of infidelity and her dissipation of our assets, the judge awarded her only 2 years of minimal rehabilitative alimony. It's barely enough to cover the rent on a basic apartment and is explicitly intended to support her while she finds full-time employment. The fun is officially unfunded. The assets. Our dissipation claim was successful. Based on bank records, we proved she'd spent over $15,000 on her affair. That amount was deducted directly from her half of the house equity and awarded to me. In the end, she paid me back for financing her own betrayal. The lives they chose have now fully materialized. Kelly is renting a small apartment. She works as a full-time office manager for a landscaping company. Her social media is now mostly generic inspirational quotes. Zachary, I've heard, broke up with her the moment his legal troubles began and has struggled to retain clients at his club. Reputations are indeed fragile. Joyce now has a financially and emotionally dependent daughter who is deeply unhappy with her new, non-glamorous life. As for me, I'm healing. It's an active process. The first few months were a grim exercise in legal strategy, but once the dust settled, I had to confront the 15-year hole in my life. I found a good therapist to help me process the sheer scale of the deception. It's not about anger anymore. It's about understanding how I let myself become so complacent, how I ignored so many red flags. My new condo is my sanctuary. It's quiet, it's filled with my books, my old comfortable armchair, and a ridiculously complex German coffee maker that Kelly would have called hideous. It makes a perfect cup of coffee every morning. That simple, predictable pleasure feels more like fun to me than anything I've experienced in years. I've started hiking on weekends, something Kelly always despised. The other day, standing on a ridge overlooking the valley, I felt a sense of peace that was so profound it almost brought me to tears. It wasn't the thrill Kelly was chasing. It was something deeper. It was freedom. The rock is no longer an anchor for someone else's ship. It's a mountain, standing on its own. She said, "You're not masculine enough. Real men don't cry." I replied, "I'll remember that." Then I cried to her mother about how her daughter had been stealing from my account. Her real man standards changed when her family saw the bank statements. Original post. I, 31 male, am sitting here staring at my laptop screen, still processing what just happened over the past month. My ex-girlfriend Jessica, 29, of 3 years, is currently blowing up my phone from numbers I haven't blocked yet, but I'm getting ahead of myself. 3 years together. Lived together for the last 18 months in a decent apartment downtown. Split rent 60-40, me paying more since I earned more as a data analyst. Everything seemed solid until about 4 months ago, when she started getting really into these relationship coaching videos on social media. You know the type. High-value men do this and never settle for less queens. The comments started small. Why don't you go to the gym more? Trevor's boyfriend just bought her a new purse for no reason. You're too emotional sometimes. That last one stung. See, my dad passed away 2 years ago after a long battle with cancer. Sometimes I'd get emotional talking about him, especially around his birthday or holidays. Jessica used to be supportive, but that changed. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. We were at dinner with her friends, and someone mentioned their dad. I shared a funny memory about mine, got a bit choked up at the end. Not sobbing, just, that moment where your voice catches. In the car afterward, Jessica went nuclear. That was so embarrassing, Daniel. My friends probably think I'm dating a child. I was talking about my dead father, Jess. Real men don't cry in public. You're not masculine enough. This is why Trevor's boyfriend got promoted and you didn't. He's an alpha. You're not. I sat there in silence the whole ride home. When we got to the apartment, I said 3 words. I'll remember that. She took it as me agreeing to man up. She had no idea what was coming. See, what Jessica didn't know was that I'd noticed some weird charges on my credit card statements over the past few months. Nothing huge at first. $30 here, $50 there. I'd assumed it was subscription services I'd forgotten about. But after her little speech about real men, I decided to do some digging. I pulled 3 months of statements, found over $2,400 in charges I didn't recognize, mostly online shopping, food delivery when I was at work, and weirdly 3 separate charges to something called Divine Feminine Coaching Academy, $299 each. The thing is, Jessica had access to my card for emergencies and groceries. We'd set that up when she was between jobs last year. She'd gotten a new job 6 months ago, but the card access remained. My mistake for trusting her. I didn't confront her. Real men don't cry, right? They handle business. Update 1, the setup. First thing Monday morning, I called my bank, reported the unauthorized charges. They issued me a new card and started a fraud investigation. Then I went through everything. Found more charges going back 8 months. Total damage, $6,847. She'd been smart about it, never huge amounts, spread across different categories. The bank said since I'd given her access initially, it complicated things, but the pattern and amounts suggested misuse. I screenshot everything, every single charge. Then I remembered Jessica was very close with her mother, Diane. Diane was actually lovely, a retired school principal who'd always been kind to me. She'd even pulled me aside at a family barbecue once to thank me for taking such good care of Jessica. Time to have a conversation with Diane. I called her Thursday morning, asked if we could meet for coffee, said it was important and about Jessica. She agreed immediately, probably thinking I was going to propose. We met at a quiet coffee shop. I brought a folder. Diane, I need to show you something, and I need your advice. I laid out the bank statements, highlighted every unauthorized charge, showed her the total. Her face went from confused to shocked to furious. She stole from you? She had access for emergencies. This isn't emergencies. Then I told her about the Real Men Don't Cry incident, about how Jessica had been treating me since she got into those online coaching programs. And then, because I'm apparently not a real man, I started crying. Right there in the coffee shop. Months of frustration, grief over my dad, betrayal, it all came out. Diane handed me tissues. Oh honey, I am so sorry. This is not how I raised her. I don't know what to do, Diane. I loved her. Still do. But I can't live like this. You leave this to me, she said, taking photos of the statements with her phone. And Daniel? Real men absolutely cry. My husband cried when each of our children was born. He cried when his mother died. He cried watching Marley and me. Don't let anyone tell you differently. That evening, Jessica came home in a rage. You went to my mother? Are you serious right now? You said real men don't cry. Figured I'd test that theory. This is so manipulative. You're trying to turn my family against me. I showed your mother bank statements, facts. If that turns her against you, maybe examine your actions. Her phone rang. Her dad, Robert. She answered on speaker. Jessica Marie, you get your butt to this house right now. Your mother showed me everything. We need to talk. Now. She left, glaring at me. This isn't over. You're right, I said. You still owe me $6,847. Update 2, the escalation. Jessica didn't come home that night, or the next one. Got a text from her saying she was staying with her parents until you stop this psycho behavior. Psycho behavior was expecting my money back, apparently. Her mom, Diane, called me Saturday morning. Daniel, we had a long talk with Jessica. She admitted to the charges but says you were financially controlling and she needed her own money. She has a job, Diane, makes decent money. I know, we're not buying her excuse either. Robert and I want to make this right. We'll pay you back, but Jessica needs to learn a lesson. We're thinking of setting up a payment plan where she pays us back. I appreciate that, but I actually filed a fraud report with my bank. They need Jessica to admit the charges were unauthorized, or I have to pursue it legally. Silence. Then, give us until Monday, please. Sunday night, Jessica showed up with her dad. Robert's a big dude, works construction, but he looked disappointed, not threatening. Daniel, Robert started, I want to apologize for my daughter's behavior. This isn't who we raised her to be. Jessica stood there, arms crossed, pouting like a teenager. Jessica has something to say. Diane's voice came from behind them. She'd come too. This is ridiculous, Jessica muttered. Jessica Marie, her father's voice had that dad warning tone. Fine. I used your card without permission. I'll pay it back. All of it? I asked. This is extortion? It's called consequences, Robert said. You stole from this man, after he helped you when you were unemployed, after he's been nothing but good to you. Then the real Jessica came out. Good to me? He's weak. He cries all the time. He's not ambitious. Trevor's boyfriend just started his own business and Daniel's still at the same boring job. I needed that money for courses to improve myself since he won't. The Divine Feminine Coaching Academy charges suddenly made sense. So you stole money for courses about finding better men? I asked. It's not stealing when we're basically married. We're not married, and now we never will be. That's when she lost it. Full meltdown. Screaming about how I was a beta male, how no woman would want me, how she settled for me. Her parents looked horrified. Robert actually stepped between us. Jessica, get in the car, now. I'm not done. Yes, you are, Diane said. Daniel, we'll handle the bank situation. Send us what you need. As they dragged her out, Jessica screamed, You'll regret this. I'll tell everyone what a loser you are. Cool story, I called back. Tell them about the theft too. Update 3, the explosion. Jessica made good on her threat. By Monday, my social media was flooded with posts about me. She'd written this long Facebook rant about how I was emotionally manipulative, financially abusive, and weaponized toxic masculinity against her. The irony of that last one wasn't lost on me. Some highlights from her post. He tracked every penny I spent like a controlling psycho. He cried to my parents to manipulate them. He threatened me with legal action over a few small purchases. Ladies, this is what happens when you date down. The comments were mixed. Her squad of divine feminine friends were eating it up, calling me trash, saying she deserved better. But then something interesting happened. My ex-coworker Sophia, who's friends with both of us, commented, Jess, didn't you tell me last month you were using his card to buy stuff because he owes you for emotional labor? That's not a few small purchases. That's theft. The comment got deleted within minutes. But Sophia screenshot it and sent it to me. Then Trevor, yes, that Trevor whose boyfriend is apparently God's gift to testosterone, commented, Girl, you literally asked me how to hide credit card charges last month. Delete this. Screenshot, deleted, but not before about 20 people saw it. My phone rang. The bank. Mr. Harrison, we've completed our investigation. The charges have been confirmed as fraudulent. However, since you initially provided access, we can only recover charges from the last 60 days unless the other party admits to the unauthorized use. That would be about $1,900 of the $6,847. What if I have written admission? That would help significantly. I forwarded them the screenshots of Jessica's friends' comments and texts where she admitted to using the card without permission for personal purchases. Tuesday morning, Jessica called from a number I didn't recognize. You need to stop this bank thing. My parents are threatening to cut me off. Then admit to the charges. I'll be blacklisted. It'll ruin my credit. Should have thought of that before stealing almost $7,000. It wasn't stealing. You're supposed to provide for me. That's what real men do. I thought real men don't cry? I'm confused about what kind of man you want me to be. Don't be smart with me, Daniel. Admit to the charges, Jessica, in writing, to the bank. If I do, will you tell my parents we're good? I'll tell them the truth, that you admitted to the charges and the bank is handling it. She hung up. Wednesday, got an email from the bank. Jessica had admitted to $5,400 in unauthorized charges. Not the full amount, but enough for them to process a recovery. They'd be pulling it from her account or sending to collections if she couldn't pay. Her dad, Robert, called an hour later. Daniel, Jessica admitted to the charges. We're disgusted. We've given her 30 days to find her own place. She's 29 years old and acting like a spoiled teenager. I'm sorry it came to this, Robert. Don't be. You opened our eyes. Did you know she hasn't been paying us rent like she claimed? Said she was giving it to you. We thought you two had combined finances. We hadn't. She'd been living rent-free and pocketing what her parents thought she was contributing. Update 4. The aftermath. It's been a week since Jessica admitted to the theft. The bank recovered $5,400 directly from her account, apparently draining it completely. She had to borrow money from her brother to cover her car payment. The social media war continued. She posted about being financially ruined by a vindictive ex and how the system protects abusive men. The comments weren't going her way anymore, though. Too many people had seen the deleted comments from her friends. Sophia actually made her own post. Since someone wants to play victim publicly, let me share what I know. This person bragged about using their boyfriend's credit card to fund their self-improvement journey because he's too beta to notice. This same person said her boyfriend was weak for crying about his deceased father. This same person tried to get me to lie and say I saw him be controlling. I refused. Theft is theft. Emotional abuse is abuse. Period. 144 likes, 49 shares. Jessica blocked her. Then the real kicker came Thursday. Remember those Divine Feminine Coaching Academy charges? Turns out it was a MLM scheme. They'd convinced Jessica she could become a relationship coach herself if she just completed their $299 courses and recruited other queens. She'd blown almost $900 on a scam that told her she was too good for everyone while teaching her to find a high-value man to fund her lifestyle. Her mom Diane sent me screenshots of Jessica's text to her. Jessica, this is all Daniel's fault. If he'd been more ambitious, I wouldn't have needed those courses. Those courses were a pyramid scheme, Jessica. You don't understand manifestation. I understand theft. You stole from someone who loved you. Love means providing. Love means respect. You showed none. Friday, Jessica sent one last manipulation attempt. A long email about how she was sorry things ended badly and how maybe we could work through this with counseling. Then the kicker. I know you still love me. Real love doesn't die over money. If you drop this whole thing, we can start fresh. I responded, a real woman doesn't steal from her partner. A real woman doesn't belittle someone for grieving their father. A real woman doesn't need pyramid scheme courses to tell her worth. We're done. She replied, you'll never find anyone like me. That's the point. Blocked her email. Her brother Marcus reached out yesterday. Apparently, Jessica's been couch surfing because she can't afford a deposit on a new place. She'd tried to move in with one of her Divine Feminine friends, but they wanted $1,200 up front. She's learning that high-value lifestyle costs money she doesn't have, Marcus said. Mom and Dad are holding firm on the 30-day deadline. She actually asked me if I could loan her money because family supports each other. I reminded her that family doesn't steal from each other's boyfriends. The best part? Trevor's boyfriend, the supposed alpha male, Jessica kept comparing me to? They broke up. Turns out he was cheating with 3 different women and had $45,000 in debt from his business that was actually just another MLM scheme. Trevor posted about it publicly. Jessica commented, you deserve better, queen. Trevor replied, at least I didn't steal from him and get prosecuted for fraud. Worry about your own situation. Deleted within minutes. But the internet remembers. Final update. It's been a month since everything went down. Here's where everyone ended up. Jessica, living with a cousin 2 hours away, working 2 jobs to pay back her parents. They paid me the remaining $1,447 to make things right and are making her pay them back with interest. Deleted most of her social media after the fraud admission became public knowledge in our friend circle. Her parents sent me a final message apologizing again and thanking me for showing them who their daughter had become. Robert added, for what it's worth, you're one of the good ones. Any woman would be lucky to have a man who can show real emotions and stand up for himself. The bank flagged her for fraud. Not sure if it'll affect her credit long term, but she can't get a credit card right now, according to Marcus. The Divine Feminine Coaching Academy? Under investigation for fraud after multiple complaints. Jessica lost her investment and can't even sell the courses to recoup losses because the website got shut down. As for me, I'm doing okay, still in my apartment, still at my boring, stable job that apparently makes me unambitious but pays all my bills and then some. Started therapy to deal with the emotional manipulation and, honestly, to continue processing my dad's death without shame. Had coffee with Sophia last week. She apologized for not warning me sooner about Jessica's behavior. We ended up talking for 3 hours. She mentioned her dad died when she was 25, and she still cries about it sometimes. Anyone who says crying makes you weak has never been strong enough to show vulnerability, she said. We're having dinner tomorrow, just as friends, maybe more eventually, but right now I'm just focused on being comfortable with who I am. Oh, and last week I cried watching a video about a kid surprising his dad after returning from deployment. Full-on ugly crying. And you know what? I didn't feel weak at all, because real men do cry. They just also know when to stand up for themselves and demand respect. Jessica was right about one thing, though. I did remember what she said about real men. I remembered it every time I stood my ground, every time I refused to be manipulated, and every time I chose self-respect over being her ATM. Funny how her definition of masculinity only included the parts that benefited her financially, but excluded the part where a man protects his assets and demands accountability. To anyone dealing with similar situations, document everything. Trust your gut. Don't let anyone make you feel less than for having emotions. And never, ever give someone access to your finances who doesn't respect you as a person. The money was recoverable. The self-respect I gained from standing up to her? Priceless. Edit. For those asking, yes, I changed all my passwords and did a full credit check. Found 2 credit cards she'd applied for using my information. Currently dealing with that, but the bank is helping since there's already a fraud case. The entitlement really knew no bounds.